Jughead 82 with another horror review.
Well, blow me down. Apparently they want to turn old Popeye here into a horror movie. But it doesn't work. 'Cause I'm Popeye the Sailor Man.
That was brought to you in part by me, Jughead 82, with my impressions. IWO for life, brother! So let's talk about this movie. There are a couple of Popeye fucking movies. And this is the first one I've watched, Popeye's Revenge. And you can actually watch it on Tubi. So the synopsis is the legend of the cartoon sailor Scrowman, born deformed and turned into a pariah, hunts a group of counselors as they intend to reopen a summer camp. First of all, I'm going to just say this. This movie combines The Fog, Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street. And spoilers, if you guys don't want to know, basically, the elements of every three movies I just mentioned are in this movie. And the way they do them is basically Popeye. He's a kid that's being bullied by other kids. And then something happens where he kills a kid. And they show it in the cartoonish things. I think these are probably the same people that did the Blood and Honey movie. And actually, I did like Blood and Honey. I like Blood and Honey too. I like to, and I like this movie too. I'm not going to knock it too hard, but because, you know, I like cheese. But this cheese is a little bit over the top. The characters in the movie are very, very slow. I mean, they do things that you would probably think that even in horror movie standards would be like, nah, bro. They didn't do that shit. They did that shit. They did it multiple times. The Nightmare on Elm Street part kind of falls under the mystical field of how the character is. And that probably can also be in Friday the 13th as well, because it's the whole situation where he was being bullied and so forth. It's a lot of things about this movie that I feel like they did borrow from a lot because they had to. They had no other choice. They wanted to make a horror movie based on one of the most iconic cartoon characters that I grew up watching, Popeye the Sailor Man.
I'm Popeye the Sailor Man.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you are doing some ins and outs, and there are other Popeye horror movies. I've seen reviews of those. I did not get able to see Popeye's Revenge review, but I just said, fuck it, I'm going to watch the movie. And it actually is on Tubi. I think it is an okay movie. The cinematography in this movie is really good, first of all. I think the actors did their part to the point of where they could do what they had to do. But of course, you're going by a script and everything of how the script is and what comes of that. And that being said, you know, it is what it is. I think this movie was not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be this and that. There's another movie that I'm going to review, hopefully, maybe not, I don't know. And that movie will be something of a very questionable, remarkable kind of situation. But this is, I say Popeye's Revenge. This movie, like I said, was released this year, 2025. You can watch it free on Tubi. And like I say, it's a movie that I think is, I mean, the domain thing when it comes to your childhood, basically. You got Mickey Mouse. I haven't watched any of the Mickey Mouse horror themed movies. Of course, I watched Blood and Honey, and I watched Blood and Honey 2. I thought the sequel was way better than the first one. The gore effects in this movie were pretty good. That's another positive about this movie as well. I'm opening on this review because I will say that this is a review where I will not watch this movie again. But I think if you see it, you can judge your own opinion about what you think this movie consists in. Like I said, the overall cons were the characters. Even though it was a lot of acting in between where you just kind of was like, what? Why would they even say that or do that? Then you even had the guy that was warning them, and this is spoilers, warning him about the situation of Popeye. Still stayed there, even though he saw fucking fog around him and shit. Oh yeah, that was the other movie, The Fog. That's the third one in the horror cliches that they took, The Fog. Because apparently this Popeye can only show up when you see fog. So it definitely has the supernatural feel, the Nightmare on Elm Street feel, and all that shit. Friday the 13th feel because of him being a child and being bullied by the other kids because of his deformities and stuff. It's a lot of shit in this movie that, like I said, yeah, you take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, Popeye's Revenge. Watch it if you want to, but I'm not going to watch it again. But yeah, this is Jughead82 signing off. You guys have a good one.